may come up with other goals, that's normal. But what I want you to first of all do is focus on these 6 questions and then execute, and then you can add more. I don't want you to get distracted on all the things you could think about or all the things you could plan for or analyze. I want you to get laser focused on these 6 questions, and then when you start getting momentum, getting results, then you can look at other ones.
Hi, I'm Annette Bau, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast and founder of the Millionaire Insider. My mission is to help you simplify the money game so you can create a financially secure and fulfilled life without having to have a PhD or spend countless hours on your finances. You're going to learn how to think like a millionaire, stop worrying about money and wondering if your financial house is truly in order, and instead spend your time doing what you love. With over 3 decades advising 7, 8, and even 9-figure millionaires, and now joining that elite group, I'm in a unique position to help you make the best financial choices so you can create a secure financial future and retirement you love. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast.
You can access your free financial checkup at themillionaireinsider.com/FC. If you want to know your next best financial move, this is going to provide you insight. So I encourage you to go and take the checkup. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/FC. Our free resource today is our Millionaire Mindset. You can access it at themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. One of the most important steps to making any year your best is to start thinking like a successful person. In this free resource, you're going to learn how to think like a millionaire so that you can set yourself up for success with your business, with your money, and your life. This guide provides over 3 decades of how millionaires think, what they do, and why they are successful over and over again. There's over 40 years of research included in this guide. So again, you can access it at themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. MillionaireSeries.com copyrights all materials and intellectual property. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, planning, or healthcare advice. By accessing this content, you agree to hold MillionaireSeries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. All international copyrights are reserved. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/91. So I want to welcome you to 6 questions to create your best year yet. I'm Annette Bau, founder of MillionaireSeries.com and the Millionaire Insider Academy. So the first step to creating an amazing year is to create your plan. And what I recommend you do is that you start creating it in the 4th quarter, ideally in October of the previous year. So you start in October knowing it's going to start in 3 months. This will give you about 60 days to process, analyze, and clarify, and revise your plan. And so I find that time frame to be pretty effective. Now, if you haven't created a plan, like many, I encourage you to start now and then review it in 20 or 30 days. I do find that it's more helpful to think about what you're going to do for the upcoming year and have a little time to process it. If you're like me and many people, if we sleep on things, amazing ideas and creative juices start flowing, and we get a much better option for our plan. So I encourage you to give yourself time on that. Now, if you haven't, it's not that you can't revise it in January. It's just you start getting into January, February, March, that's not ideal. So I really encourage you to make this a priority. So let's dive into the questions I want you to start by asking so that you can achieve your goals. You may come up with other goals, that's normal, but what I want you to first of all do is focus on these 6 questions and then execute, and then you can add more. I don't want you to get distracted on all the things you could think about or all the things you could plan for or analyze. I want you to get laser focused on these 6 questions, and then when you start getting momentum, getting results, then you can look at other ones. So the first and possibly most important is what worked last year. I encourage you to start in one area of your life, either your personal life, your business, or your money. Now, for today's training, I want you to focus in on money, but if you want to focus in on business, you can. What I encourage you to do, if you need to, is pause and begin to determine what worked best for you. Now, if you know it, then great, start writing. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time right now to start writing. So I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, what worked well last year for my money? One is the amount of dollars I saved. The second one would be the earnings on my retirement plan, on my personal investment plan, really on our overall portfolio. What else? I had a record income year. The last several years have been just great for us. It's been really good. So there's a lot of things from that perspective that worked well. Now I want you to figure out what worked for you. Did you save enough money? Did you earn enough money on your investments, on your retirement plan? Did you make enough money, as much money as you wanted? Give that some thought. Once you've done that, then the next thing I want you to do is identify what didn't work last year. All right, so now we're talking about money, but for me, mine's going to be a little bit more about like things in my life that impact my money. And so one of them would be my time. I need to better leverage my time because everything takes too much of my time. So time would be one of them. One thing is to make sure that I've got some of my profits that I made last year protected. So that's kind of a little different because it's not really what didn't work last year, but it's kind of anticipating what may happen in the upcoming year. For you, it may be something completely different. And I would say the third thing is, I was so busy last year with all people I helped and all my clients that I didn't really have time to like proactively create my plan for next year. Yours may be similar or different. It's not a right or a wrong, but I want you to give that some thought. So what didn't work last year? And yeah, if you feel like sharing them, go ahead. Didn't make as much money as you wanted to. Okay. Busy but not productive. General, working too general in your business. Okay, that's interesting. And that could impact your revenue. Definitely could impact your revenue. I'm making enough money, but not as much as you wanted. Okay, well, that's okay. So then what didn't work is that you really didn't make enough money. You made your goal as far as income, but you set it too low. I love that one. That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's common. That's actually more common than you probably realize. Challenges came up. Challenges with your family that distracted you from the business. Getting in your own way. That's a good one. Boy, that's one that like is all of us, right? It's just who will admit it, right? Because we're our biggest barriers. It's easy to say, blame someone else or look at what's happening. But the reality of it is what didn't work last year is really, there's one person to look at, and that's us, right? Number 3, what were your biggest lessons? This is one thing I want you to get really, really clear on. If you don't learn the lesson that the universe has sent you, it's going to repeat. And it's going to continue to repeat until you learn it. I can remember one of my first coaches, she called it the Mack truck. And it was like, you're going to get something that's going to happen to you. You're going to get insight, and you can pay attention or you can ignore it. If you pay attention, great. That's typically a 2x2. You get kind of a 2x2, you get hit with it. You're like, wait, let's pay attention. You make an adjustment and you're good to go. If you don't, what happens is you're going to get the 4x4. 4x4 is going to be a little stronger, a little harder, a little more in your face. If you don't get the 4x4, you get the Mack truck. So you don't want to be driving down the street and have a Mack truck hit you head on, because it means that you didn't learn the 2x2 lesson or the 4x4 lesson, you learned the Mack truck. So I want you to just think about that. What lessons did you get last year? Did you overcommit? Did you do what you said you were going to do? How's your integrity? How's your accountability? How's your focus? What are the lessons? My friends, that, in my opinion, is one of the areas of the biggest breakthroughs you can have. Absolute biggest. So you want to ask yourself what you learned from that lesson. Now, for me, time was a big one for me. Just working too much. And I look at it and I think, people are like, oh my gosh, I would just love to have your life and have different homes and have money. Yeah, if you were actually enjoying it, you would. But I worked so much last year that didn't enjoy it as much. Now we're leaving Saturday to go down to our beach home. And then we come back, have the holidays here with my extended family. And then we're turning around and we're heading up to the mountains to our other home and going to go skiing. So I am really making a concerted effort to start enjoying my life more and to stop working so much because I work all the time. I work a lot. And so that's requiring me to make different choices. And I encourage you to also look at those. A few years ago, I really started making my own health and my personal protocol a major priority, and it's paid off. I mean, I weigh my ideal weight. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I feel better than I've felt in years, and I have more energy. It's just been wonderful. And I encourage you to do the same thing. When we have certain issues that come up, like lessons, like for me, it was my A1C. No doctor even noticed it. I did. I started looking into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm pre-diabetic. I've got to watch this, like right on the border. And I've been able to drop it down to the low fives. And I feel great. I don't eat sugar and I eat very low carbs. And I feel great. And I don't have food cravings. It's amazing. But we've got to identify what were the biggest lessons and then what did we learn from them? And then the next thing I want you to identify is what will you do moving forward to avoid this from happening again? Let's just say last year, one of the biggest lessons was not hitting your income goal, not getting ideal clients, working with clients who aren't ideal, having more of a transactional business. It's just kind of like feast or famine. All right, what did you learn from that? And more importantly, what are you going to do about that moving forward? These things, my friends, are absolutely critical. Yeah, feel free to share. Didn't hit revenue goal, okay. And then lesson is I've got to consistently market and I've got to execute my plan. Okay, that's great. And so what will I do moving forward to avoid this? Accountability partner or hire a personal coach. I think that's great. Now let's talk about one for money. What were your biggest lessons? Well, one might have been you didn't save enough money. What did you learn from that lesson? That now you're at year end and you don't have the reserve you want in your business or in your personal life. Maybe you don't have the money you need to do the marketing you want to do for the upcoming year. So what are you going to do differently moving forward? Create a plan, execute, make sure you're saving enough, make sure you are investing enough. That, my friends, is the key. So number 4, what are 3 major goals for the next year? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. Yeah, feel free to share them. The nice thing about sharing them is the fact that it makes it forefront. It makes it top of mind. It gives you something to aim for. It activates your reticular activity center. I'm going to give you an example in the area of money. You can do money, business, or life. But the first thing I recommend you do is start with money because money is an issue for so many people. So the first thing is save more. All right. So let's just say you have the goal of save more. I want it to be specific how much, and I want it written out in I am or I active verbs. So I save, or my partner name, and I save how much? $1,500 per month. How are you going to do that? Underneath it, as far as your high value activity, you're going to transfer $1,500 a month on the 15th or the 20th of the month over from your checking account to your savings account, or from your checking account over to your investment account. Number two, I want to invest more in my retirement plan. Got to be specific. How much? I invest $20,000 per year in my retirement plan, $30,000 per year in my retirement plan. I don't care what the number is. I just care that you're doing it and you're clear on it. And then number three is to complete your estate plan. So you got to get clear on what you're going to do and how that's going to look. Now, what will you do to achieve your goal? We talked about the first one, set up an auto transfer for the amount of money you're going to save and the day you're going to do it. If the number is $18,000 a year, you're going to transfer $1,500 per month to your savings or investment account from your checking on the 15th of each month. Be really clear. Second thing you're going to do is max out your 401k. You got to figure out what that means, and then you've got to get with your HR director and max it out. Fund an IRA or a Roth IRA. If you don't qualify for a Roth, you can do a backdoor Roth, where you fund an IRA, you don't get to write it off, and then you transfer it over into a Roth. If you don't know how to do this, or you have questions, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/SR for support-request. But that's a powerful thing, and that will keep you on track and help you get really clear on what you need to do, and more importantly, how to really make sure you're putting enough money away for retirement, which is a big issue, and it's only going to get bigger, my friends, especially those of you that live in the United States. The next thing is to create your estate plan. The first thing I'm going to do is ask my CPA and financial advisor for referrals to an estate planning attorney. Then I'm going to schedule 1 hour Thursday evenings after dinner with my partner at 7 p.m. to identify goals of our estate plan. That, my friends, is how you make it a reality. If it's your business, you can determine, how much money you need to put into your reserves. You have money for marketing. You can determine when you're going to be making your warm calls. You can be determining if you're going to be doing feeder workshops. All those things are specifics of what you're going to do to achieve your goal. And there's not a right or a wrong. The only right or wrong is if you've been doing something really well that's worked in the past, is to stop doing it. Sometimes I see people, things are working so well, and instead of continuing to do them, they just stop. That is not advisable. What are you going to do to stay on track? This is a really good one, because what ends up happening is a lot of people have these great plans. They're like, oh, this is so exciting. I'm so excited to be creating a plan, to be able to look at what's worked and what hasn't. And then they get real motivated and they start on their plan. And then what happens? It's out the window. That happens a lot on working out. I work out at a club, especially for my weight training. And it's funny, the first few months of the year, it's amazing how many people are in class. Now, what I find really interesting is, we're in December and there are a lot of people showing up in class that have not been in class before. And so obviously it's happening early, but it'll be interesting to see what happens after the new year. They say 92% of people create a plan and then never execute on it. Oh, that's just tragic. What are you going to do to stay on track? One option would be to set your saving and investing goal up on autopilot, so it just automatically happens. Another consideration would be to team up with a peer or hire a money coach who's going to help you stay on track. And then the third option might be to review what went wrong, make corrections, and then get back on track. Those are all options, and you may come up with even better ones. You know yourself better than I do. The key is to just do it. Let's recap on making this your best year yet in the 6 questions. So number 1, what worked last year? What truly worked? And I recommend you start with money, and then you can go to business, and then you can go to your life. But what worked? What didn't work? Didn't make enough money, didn't spend enough time with my family, didn't get enough ideal clients. Got to decide what worked, what didn't work. What were your biggest lessons? I mean, where were there opportunities for growth that were exponential? I find it fascinating that somebody's not getting their desired results, and then you start looking at their life and you're like, well, you don't follow through. We've got to be accountable in our own lives and take ownership, or we're never going to attract what we want to. And I'm telling you, my friends, if you don't believe this, just keep doing what you're doing and see the results you get. We've got to be willing to make the changes we need to make to get the results we desire. What are 3 major goals that you want to accomplish with your money, your business, or your life? Number 5, what will you do next year to achieve those goals? Last but most certainly not least, what will you do to stay on track? These are such great questions. What I love is it just gives you simplicity, clarity, and an ability to focus. So I want to thank you so much for attending 6 questions to create your best year yet. Now, my friends, you just have to go do it. I encourage you to go back and review these questions and create a plan so that you can make the upcoming year your best year yet. And you're focused on what you want versus what you don't want.
If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for Next Step Finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Baou, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.